90% of our day is spent communicating. When we communicate, it's both outward, what we say, do, how we respond, and inward, how we listen, process, decide, and coupled with the actions we take. When it comes to the hospitality industry, specifically food and beverage, the products are important, but the heavy emphasis is on the service part. I'll give you over a dozen ideas. You get to choose the ones that will help you boost your service and your tips. Welcome back to the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. I'm happy you're here. My name is Craig Ansell, and I'll be your host. We are rocking it with episode 65, How to Get Bigger Tips. It's not all about the money for this episode. It's really about improved customer service. In fact, back in episode 45, I had a really unique fast food experience, and I titled the episode, The Absolute Best Customer Service. You might be interested in that to go back if you're also in the food service industry. But for today's show, we're going to talk more about the formal dining aspect of it and not so much the fast food side. Talking about today's show, I'm going to give you over a dozen ideas that many of them are easy to implement. Some of them may take a little bit of work on your part, modifying your behavior or your habits, but I think you'll agree there's some great winners in here. Make sure you stick around to the end of this episode because I've got a free gift for you and it comes with a bonus. Let's dive right in. First, I'd suggest that you greet with a genuine smile. Take advantage of your individuality and showcase your personality. What things can you do that are better than other servers? How can you make your specific service shine? Number 2, be attentive. What do you see when you scan your tables, bar tops, or assigned sections? What are you looking for? Too many times I've had to ask for silverware, napkins, something as simple as the salt and pepper or ketchup. Do you notice when drinks are getting low? In this particular example, I suggest that you see it as the glass is half empty rather than the glass is half full, meaning consider suggesting or serving a refill when you notice that. When you take orders, how do you do it? Some hospitality companies use notepads and pens, others electronics such as tablets, and yet others take pride in using their memory. Nothing gets written or recorded down. If you repeat your guests' orders, it helps build on the service aspect. They order, you repeat it, showing you both understood and processed their request. The guests feel that they're heard and they can reconfirm or correct the order now that they've heard it back from you. Sometimes they might even make changes in their order after hearing it read back to them. That's very helpful to make sure that they get satisfied with their order so the meal comes out correctly. Do you ask for guest names when you serve them? It could be as simple as introducing yourself and then saying, "Who do I have the pleasure of serving today?" This functions as an icebreaker and a conversation starter. Next, connect with your guests. There can be specific things that you notice about your guests that you could draw into the conversation, helping build that connection. Now, talking about how to get bigger tips, the true end tip is usually based on the total bill. It includes tax in most cases. Some people, though, tip before tax. They look at the subtotal of the dining receipt and then calculate the tip from there. It's true, the larger the bill, the potentially larger tip you may receive. But remember, it's all about service. You can suggest food and drink upsells, potentially larger portions, appetizers, and when some side dishes are mentioned, it's possible that you have basic choices that are included with the meal, or you may have upsells, such as specialty items that may be seasonal or limited time menu items. You can always suggest those, and if a customer selects one of them on their own, you might want to mention that there's a slight upcharge. You want to avoid surprises at the end when they get the bill. If your guests aren't familiar with the menu or you notice they're having difficulty, perhaps you take the time to find out their interests and guide them, making it more personal. If your establishment has combo meals or combo items that you can combine for savings, you can point that out to the customer and then read their feedback. If the customers order without selecting the combos, but it applies, point it out to them. Even ask their approval. If you can modify the order, they'll still get what they asked for. If they agree, you can mention it'll save them some money. This, again, is service, and it shows you're looking out for them. Next, part of your hospitality can be entertaining guests. Yes, even with food service. A dining or bar experience doesn't have to be flat and dull. If you pick up on a special event, a specific name, or a discussion point that brings back memories, let them know if it's appropriate for the situation. Oh, I had a roommate in college with that name, or my best friend back in my hometown of had that name. Oh, I'll never forget my neighbor, George. He was a great guy. Also, you can notice and compliment on someone's outfit, such as their clothing, their purse, shoes, ties, jewelry. Maybe they're wearing something unique, such as a special watch, rings, necklace, or bracelet. Be aware of your surroundings as well, including the time, the weather, and the traffic. It may be helpful to keep your customers updated. Do your guests have an upcoming appointment or a tight schedule? Just briefly mentioning the specifics shows your concern during their dining experience. If it's weather-related, does your facility have guest umbrellas? Could a plastic to-go bag help keep their valuables dry when they're exiting the facility? Does your parking lot have multiple exits? If you notice significant traffic or picked up on the fact there's an accident nearby, you might want to offer them alternatives. Going above and beyond with little gestures. A small thank you note on the back of your bill, such as, "Thank you, Craig," or "Enjoy golfing," or "Stay safe," and then you sign it. Maybe enjoy the leftovers. If you're not much of a writer, are you an artist? Maybe a small, simple picture. Anything that can relate back to the experience they had with you, something you overheard at the table, or maybe there's an upcoming holiday you might want to draw a brief image and put a message to. In one example, a waiter asked if there was anything else they could do before closing out the order and presenting our bill. My son Nicholas said, "Yeah, $1 million. The server kind of paused and in a unique response said, as she smiled, "I'll work on that." When she returned with the bill, her version of a $1 million bill was creatively drawn on a napkin. If you notice an error with your guest's order, whether the kitchen or bartender did not prepare their drinks or meal properly, if you can handle it before serving it, all the better. Let your table know that you noticed the issue and you're having it corrected. That also lets them know why there's a small delay. Anything you can do to look out for your customer will create a better connection. I mentioned in an earlier episode about my ability to speed read. Actually, I'm able to read at 3 times the normal rate, and yes, I do have full retention. Why'd I bring that up? You can learn to speed read your customers. Each guest, each table can be different and requires different levels of service. If people are closed-off communicators, they may want quiet, minimally interactive service, just to be left alone. Others, the extreme opposite, look forward to the interaction, the conversation, and perhaps a joking environment. Try to make eye contact with your tables, even from afar. If you notice a guest scanning their table for something, stop by to assist. If you get waved down, be prompt to resolve their request. And if you have repeat customers, get to know them, and you can ask them special questions. What was the best part of your dining experience or meal tonight? What did you like least? Or, what part of tonight could we have done better? And finally, here's a good one. How can we make this a better experience next time? You're getting them to share what they would have liked as a better experience and the fact that you're inviting them back for a future experience. If you recognize returning or repeat guests, you've now got regulars. Most of the time, the meal and drinks don't make the experience. The server and your level of service does. Make sure you recognize your guests. As I live in Central Florida, we have multiple chain restaurants. For example, when I feel like going out to barbecue, my mind quickly scans the options, followed by my last memories of best and worst customer service, so I know where I want to go and also where I want to avoid. If the service continues to be bad at multiple locations for that chain, I'll simply just stop going. I can just cook at home. Sure, I went out because I was hungry or thirsty, but I remembered the service, and that's what stuck. After your guests leave, try to briefly stop by their table. Besides confirming their payment and your tip, you can make sure they didn't leave anything behind. Also, check to make sure that their credit or debit card isn't still in the bill binder. With today's fast-paced world and all our electronic items, it seems nearly everyone has a cell phone. When you scan the table, check for any left-behind items both on and under the table, as well as in the booths. Dark lighting and dark seating color can often make it difficult to locate personal items that get left behind. This is your final piece of service that you can provide, one that can often make strong memories should you find a forgotten item. If your party is gone, perhaps your facility has a lost and found, or you can store the materials in a manager's office or locked desk. Occasionally, you might see your guests return and appearing frantic or agitated as they search the table for a potentially lost item. If you have the ability, you can stop by and aid them with their search or inform them that you thoroughly checked on, below, and the seating before it was bussed and cleaned for the next guests. The bottom line, service is critical in hospitality and especially in the food service industry. There's so many ways that you can approach service, but many of them can be challenging and disappointing if you don't pick up on customer interaction, customer cues, and the needs. If you were the one going out to eat or going out to get a drink, what do you look for? Try to remember that next time you provide service as a waiter, waitress, or other hospitality member, and try to go above and beyond, and you'll be rewarded well, potentially increasing your tips. Now, if you're in the hospitality field and in the same position like my wife once was, where she was just working jobs to make ends meet so that she could finish her college degree and get her bachelor's, I applaud you. It's great to try to stay out of debt or minimize your debt experience and earn a living while going to college. If you have a particular struggle or challenge you're facing while working in the hospitality sector, please contact me via social media at Craig Ansell for Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and my direct email is craig@craigansell.com. We'd love to hear from you, and if there's enough interest, we might even be able to put a follow-up episode together and get some experts in the field to share how they combat particular situations that you might be dealing with. You don't have to go through life alone struggling, whether it's personal or for professional career growth. We're here for you. Don't forget, we have a free download for episode 65, How to Get Bigger Tips. Not only will I list all the tips provided in today's episode, so you don't have to go back, replay it several times, and note it down, but I'll throw in some bonus tips that can help you. So if you're one of those few that want to go above and beyond, provide excellent customer service, be at the top of the list for retention, to avoid any possible layoffs or reduced hours, make sure you go to our website, craigansell.com, and grab your free download today, How to Get Bigger Tips. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Craig Ansell. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel. New episodes every Monday. In the meantime, why don't you follow us on social media at Craig Ansell on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To book a coaching appointment, download our free guides, or join our email list, check out the links in the description below.